Two. Hey guys, this is Flashbacks. I'm Alex,
And I'm Will.
and we are here today to talk about episode 4 of season 1 of The Flash, the first appearance of Captain Cold. And also, I forgot about this, but let's just get into the plot description, and then I'll get more into like things that I forgot about in this episode. So let's just go ahead. I have it pulled up right here. So we'll go into it, and the brief description that usually leaves stuff out or doesn't really do justice to it. I like this format though. It's better than me trying to remember the whole episode and doing that long-winded recap like I used to do sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah, so anyway, the episode is called Going Rogue. It premiered October 28th, 2014. Damn, that was a long time ago. Like it does it.
Yeah.
Man, speaking of
Uh,
like stuff from a long time ago, I'm wearing the Captain Amel like the fuck cancer shirt.
yes.
He had a campaign. His mom was sick with cancer, and he had like a fundraising thing. And so
Yeah.
like he used to do these Facebook lives, and that's why like he would have like the little sticky note on his head all the time, and that was like a thing. And so like right here it says "fuck cancer sincerely." He used to call himself Captain Amel, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
controversial now figure Stephen Amell. Apparently. Oh man,
Uh,
what do you say? I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. I know we touched on it a little bit. I don't know if that will be out by the time that this is out. But yeah. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of those comments were taken out of context. He's one of those few actors for me that I think not necessarily because of his acting ability, but I enjoyed him as a person and the way he
Yeah,
interacts with his fans and stuff like that. That I'll kind of always follow his projects and kind of support them if I'm interested in them too, which is pretty cool.
definitely.
He's a good
And
guy.
that episode will actually come out before the at least that part, like the part about the Stephen Amell coverage, that's coming out. Um, full disclosure, guys, we record these in advance. This one is being recorded on the 6th of August because before we get into the episode description, our boy Will is getting married soon. So
Yes, I am signing my life away forever. Uh, I'm joking, obviously. Nah, she's great, but yeah, we get married in September, so that should be fun towards the end.
congratulations, everybody. If anybody is listening to this, and feel free to comment, just congratulate Will on this exciting announcement and everything. I'll be there. It's in September, which by the time you guys listen to this, he will either be married or be close to it. So yeah, exciting stuff. But let me just go. Oh, I
Yep.
didn't know.
So if
Yep.
you see any news articles that say that I ended up dead at this point, you know why. Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, it's this obscure Flash podcast. It was all here. Anyway, I didn't know the writer of this was Jeff Johns, and then Wu Ku. I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, the episode's called "Going Rogue." A villain named Leonard Snart, Wentworth Miller, gets his hands on a cold gun which could kill Barry. Joe gives Iris the silent treatment. It's like the briefest ass description ever. They breezed over so many other things that happened in this.
No, they definitely did. I think this was, so the first few episodes were really good at introducing everything.
Mhm.
This is for me, I think, when the episodes started to pick up towards where they finished with the mid-season finale. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
definitely. Definitely much more memorable villain than the
Yeah.
Mist. Oh my god.
Yes.
That was rough, man. I love that. For the record, like I said in that episode, we love that actor. He didn't have much to work with, man. Like he was just kind of
Yeah.
like a boogeyman in that episode. So yeah.
But Wentworth Miller, they gave him a lot to work with. The cool part about, I think this for
Cool.
me, uh, uh, man, yeah. Now the cool part about this for me though was when this had come out, I think I had just finished like the year before binge watching Prison Break, which Another great show if you've never seen it or anybody listen, whoever wants to check out some of his other work, check that out because there's a lot of actors in that show that pop up all throughout the Arrowverse. And yeah, he does a great job in this episode, man.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I know obviously we'll get into it later, but the person that he's always working with, Heat Wave, is also like, wasn't his brother in Prison Break, right?
Yeah, Dominic Purcell is the actor's name. He was, yeah, they were brothers in Prison Break, and they both pretty much play similar characters in this whole Arrowverse as well. So
I think and we'll definitely go delve into the episode, but this is they completely left this out of the description. Felicity shows up in this episode.
yes,
What?
and so me and Felicity have a very complicated history. The first the first couple of seasons, I really, really, really enjoyed her as a character. I liked her a lot. I think they gave her a lot to work with. And I know this is sort of more on Arrow than it is this, but this is probably the last episode I think in the whole Arrowverse that I genuinely enjoyed her.
Oh man.
Just you'll hear me rant about this
Oh no, this is
as
great.
we go further in these crossover episodes. Well, I think she's very fun and lighthearted and all this stuff. And then later on in Arrow, because during this season 3 of Arrow is happening at the same time,
Right.
which I'm also rewatching right now as well. And once they start really diving into her feelings for Oliver, she just becomes a super unlikable person because Oliver will have a choice or a decision to make, and it might be a controversial choice, but it is the logical, like, greater good choice. And she's like, "Oh no, I can't believe you would make this choice, this decision. I thought you working with Malcolm Merlin. What?
William.
The whole time he's just trying to save Thea." Yeah.
Yeah, the whole William thing was when I was like, okay, we're no, the moment that, and sorry, we will get back to the Flash, but I feel like we talked so much about Arrow in this. It must be the influence of me wearing this shirt. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
we should have just done a whole Arrowverse rewatch.
yeah, the guys over at Always Hold On to Arrow do that. They're going to be on future episodes, but the thing I think that broke me with her. Do you remember when? It might have been during season 3. Do you remember when they paralyzed her briefly?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. She got, sorry guys, major spoilers for a really old show. She got up from the wheelchair and walked away. I was like, what the fuck?
Like, if she was so much more likable in this episode when she's partnered up with Barry for a lot of it, and even when she's partnered up with Ray Palmer and on Arrow. But for whatever reason, when she's with Oliver Queen, I cannot stand her.
Yeah, I think that they noticed that, and I don't want to hear shit about Iris because Felicity was way worse in Arrow. I know Iris definitely, we'll get into the future Iris. We like Iris right now, but definitely she had her moments, and the thing I would complain most about Iris, and it's a rewatch podcast, guys. We will eventually get back to the episode, but I just want to get this out while I'm thinking about it. This was a good episode. We're not doing the thing that we did last time where there wasn't much to talk about, but so my thing with it is, Amanda even pointed this out, is after she got with Barry, it's like basically her character completely changed to where they're like, oh, we can just mine conflict from her basically, and that's going to be her whole thing, is like Barry wants to do something, and they did this with Felicity too, and then like the antagonist somewhat is the person they're with, instead of being united front or talking about like rational adults, it's they're being unreasonable, which is people that don't know how to write women properly. Like that's on the writers in that case. But
no, I fully agree, because it's I don't want to go off too much on it, but I think the most logical decision-making character throughout the whole series, even though he's a murderer, is Oliver. But in the later seasons, he's always about the greater good and stuff like that, even. And she's just like, no, how could you do that?
Yeah,
I'm like,
William.
Yeah, like,
that kills me. That was the biggest thing. Like with it, it's not this episode; it's a future episode. But she gets to be unreasonable later. Anyway, back to the episode. That will
Yeah,
be something that we talk about later. But she's in this
I
episode.
could do this all day.
Yeah,
They have failed this Felicity.
exactly. But I remember because I used to review Arrow back. I don't know if you remember this. I used to review the
Yeah,
Arrow episodes back in the day. Like I would do what I would do to try to stay on top of it is I would watch it and then like right after it aired, do a media like a YouTube live kind of thing. And going
yep,
back, you can kind of tell because my thoughts are all jumbled and everything. But like, I was trying to be like, okay, like immediately after, be one of the first people with the review out. But anyway,
yeah,
I was reviewing those back then, and that's when I stopped watching for. I kept watching, but I stopped reviewing it for different reasons. Anyway, this episode was really good. They get into more they get into more of like Iris's thing, like Joe is giving her the cold shoulder through this episode. And I get why he's doing it. It's because of the whole partner thing, and like they go through it's because he lost a partner, and it's probably one of those things where he's like, I can't treat him the same way because you guys are dating kind of thing,
yeah,
which is totally understandable. And then we get like a reveal that Iris actually tried to join the police force, which I don't know if that's canon or not, but that was kind of cool.
yeah,
I didn't know about that. Like I forgot about that at least.
yeah. You could definitely see her, growing up, with her dad being who he is, and her dad being really the main influence in her life, with her mom not in the picture,
Mm-hmm.
and with her, brother obviously not even knowing about him at the time, and him being gone pretty much, and then Barry obviously growing up to become a CSI person, and they're all focused on crime and stuff like that. So it checks out. Plus, she's always very. She kind of reminds me in these earlier seasons a lot of like Lois Lane, where she's like
Yeah.
always after the story or always super investigative.
Mm-hmm. And definitely that's like a common thing I think people say with Iris in the comics is that she's like a lot of these people are copying each other's plays. Like I mean,
Yeah,
even Green Arrow, like especially with Batman, had like an arrow cave, an aeroplane, an arrow car, like just basically like just blatant stuff like that. Like
yeah,
they did plagiarism was much less of a big deal, I feel like, or people weren't as like the information age with the internet, you're much more able to point out similarities like that. Back then, it's just
yeah,
like, well, if you saw or read this one thing, it's like everything pulled from something else. But yeah, I could definitely see that. And then Felicity, like you said, was super likable in this. One of the most memorable parts for me was when they were out at the park and then you see Barry like run up to the top of that building and like take a picture of her from up there. You
yeah,
actually hear him cheer, which I'm like, dude, I here's my thing. And this is something they lost sight of, and I get it's because of this is going to be something I harp on probably for the entirety of this show's existence, but he enjoys being a superhero, and when they lost sight of that, they lost like I still like the later episodes of the show, but I feel like they lost something big when they did that. It wasn't just the speedster villains or something, it was that he stopped having fun being a superhero.
yeah. Because throughout this whole beginning, I think some of the most memorable scenes really are just him and Cisco riffing off of each other, and like how cool it is being a superhero and the fun that they're having and everything too.
Yeah. And we actually see something different in this one with the whole cold gun thing, because the cold gun, it opens up kind of, and I'm not going to do a beat by beat through the whole thing, but just like major stuff. It opens up with
Yeah.
the whole like heist thing, and then like we find
Yes.
out that Cisco made a cold gun, and Barry's obviously upset, but then this is the first time we really see Harrison Wells just like very, very angry at him and
Yeah.
everything. Like I
Oh,
forgot
and
about this.
random Easter egg too. Did you see what they were trying to steal in the initial heist?
What were they trying to steal? I actually
Thomas
missed that.
Easter. Oh, it's the Kandak Dynasty diamond thing from Black Adam.
Oh wow. I was trying to because that name sounded super familiar. I was trying to like
Yeah.
Kondak, like I remember that. I remember very vaguely from that movie. What did you think of the Black Adam movie, by the way?
Black Adam movie? Oh, I mean, in all honesty, there were a lot of parts of it that I enjoyed.
Hmm.
Like, I didn't think it was a bad movie by any means. I really, really liked Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate,
Yes.
and I like the alternate take they did with Hawkman. He felt a lot like kind of like a mixture of Batman and Iron Man.
Yeah,
But
Black Panther kind of, I guess, maybe a
yeah,
little
for
bit.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah.
so it was interesting.
Yeah. That I think they should have just made a Justice Society movie. And in my
Yeah,
opinion, like I'm like they, especially with Pierce Brosnan, like we'll get back to the episode, guys. We enjoyed it, but like
yep,
it's just whenever anything that's kind of fun comes up like this, we will go on tangents. So just heads up. But
yes. It's a tangential exchange, if you will.
different show. We'll definitely do that in the future though. And that one we drink whenever we go on tangents. So
I can't wait.
but yeah, it was interesting because like this is the first time we see Harrison Wells get really angry with Cisco, and they have that kind of father son kind of dynamic, and so you can tell. When I was watching it, I kind of described it as like a wounded puppy kind of thing. Like that's how that actor always plays it whenever like he's upset or something. Like
Yeah,
he like almost like you could tell like it really deeply affected him and everything, and he really messed up. And then the whole thing with Barry, which I've seen this edit of like when he confronts him about it, and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" And he's like, "We
yep,
didn't know you when we made this gun." Kind of thing, like
yep.
we didn't know if you were going to be like one of the bad metas or something, and so like that makes sense too. And again, going into the voice, or I know something different about the voice of Captain Cold in this one. And the later ones, and it's probably just because I remember him mostly from Legends of Tomorrow. I think that
Yeah.
he plays it up a lot more with his voice, where he talks like this all the time. He's like the
Talks like this.
yeah,
I'm a villain.
yeah,
I'm gonna get you, kid.
yeah,
Yeah, stuff like
exactly.
yeah,
And like in my head, I'm like, no, it's just how he talked the whole time. And then I remember watching this, I'm like, oh, he's it's like more subtle in this one. Like it was interesting to me. But
yeah.
yeah,
No, for sure. I think later on, not to get too spoilery, but if you're watching this, it's a rewatch podcast, anyways.
yeah.
But later on, once you see Mick and his sister and all these other characters, they really play up that the comic bookiness, the campiness of his character a lot more too.
Yeah, and definitely with Mick, which I know is an end of the episode thing, but while I'm thinking about it, Mick is revealed in this one kind of mostly off screen. He's holding like a match,
Yep.
but I had to look because I'm like that can't be the same actor because his voice doesn't sound like in the later episodes and Legends. He talks like this all the time, and he's like
Yeah.
I forget what he says, but he's like whatever he's Mick Rory or whatever like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I was like, is that the same guy? Like I was at first like maybe they like cast him later or something, but that's Dominic Purcell. Like I had no idea. But
Yep. They definitely do a lot more with his character later for sure.
yeah,
Um,
Rebecca
especially voice
Silver.
wise. Yeah. But man, what a great show. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that show. I love it for how crazy it gets because I mean, I know we'll probably just speaking on tone briefly getting back to it. Early on with the Flash, what I've noticed is that, like you kind of said later on, it gets a little bit more campy. I noticed that they're even with their more fantastic stuff, they are a little bit more grounded. Like in this one, it's like an ice gun, like it's something that he didn't make, that like Star Labs made and like he stole kind of
Yeah,
thing. And like it's made like technology, like no, like it's kind of still grounded in a way. He doesn't have this big huge parka or anything at the end with like the little slit goggles or anything quite. I don't even think he has the I think he gets it in this episode,
hmm.
the goggles that we'll see him wear throughout the most of Legends. And then I think that his alternate version actually has the comic book accurate, like the little visor thing with the little slits in
Yeah,
it. But yeah.
for sure. And it was just cool to see this character explored in this way
Mm-hmm.
because I guess growing up, you know, we knew a lot about Flash from like the Justice League animated show and stuff like that. But when you think of like Cold villains, you mostly think of Mr. Freeze from Batman, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Captain Cold was always kind of like a C-list, D-list kind of villain, but they made him cool in this show.
Wait till you get to, I know we'll cover the 90s show. Wait till you get to that version of what they
I'm
do
excited.
in that one. I'm not going to reveal spoilers because I want you to kind of watch it for yourself, but it's
Yeah.
different. It's very, I'll describe it as Christopher Nolan like, and what they choose to do,
Wow.
which
Okay.
for a
Yeah.
90s show, I mean, keep your, it's not going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, this
Like,
is, he stole it from there, but like, it's very like grounded for a show like that. And that's all I'll say about it. Like, it's
okay.
interesting what they do. But yeah, like, I liked this version. This is the first time that Team Flash experiences its first casualty during an episode, like when that one person gets killed by the cold gun.
Yep.
And Barry's very upset, and like he's upset with Cisco, and Cisco's like, I know it's my fault. He's like, no, like this is on all of us, basically. And it's like, it's because you didn't tell me, or like you didn't trust me that this happened. And then I think it's Felicity talks to him. It's like, look, like he messed up, and like and she has that great speech about we, like when the Team Arrow started, like we didn't all come together in the night like you guys did. Like we
Yep.
had to go over time. And I'm like remembering back to Arrow, like for a while it was just him, and then it was
Yep.
after a while it was him and Diggle, and even then like he was about to turn him in because he's like, Oliver, you're like a murderer and stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
it took him a while to kind of get on his side. And then finally, the only reason they brought and the only reason they brought Felicity in was because like they needed her for something. I forget what it was, but
Yeah. Well, I know that, initially she obviously worked for Queen Consolidated.
yeah.
She was Walter's assistant pretty much, and she was very big into all the tech stuff. I think they really just needed a way to explain uh, a lot more of the tech side of things, because once Oliver completed his list, because the thing about his list in that whole first season, he was just chasing down person after person off of this list that was really targeted.
Mhm.
Whereas later on it was like, now I'm actually just a crime fighter throughout the night.
Yeah, what do
So
I
how do
do
I
now?
find where crimes are happening? Yeah, and you obviously have to have a guy behind the chair for that, or a girl behind the chair in this case,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Definitely. And it was interesting because I do remember early on they kind of get into this when they are talking to each other, and like Felicity is trying to set up Iris and Barry, even though she's in a relationship, which I'm
Yeah,
still kind of like, guys, like she's still in a committed, this isn't okay. Like I don't know why. Like it'd be one thing if it'd be like, hey, I know you have feelings, put them on hold, see it, then if she breaks up with them, then see if there's something there, but right now respect the relationship. There is never that talk in this. I feel so bad for Eddie.
yeah,
Like Jesus, I hate this trope. I mean, we got into it
yeah.
uh,
Uh,
in the future.
Justice for Eddie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously, that's our next shirt. We do flashbacks that justice, hashtag justice for Eddie.
literally. But one other funny thing about Felicity too at the beginning, and
Mhm.
I'll touch more on this at the end when we wrap up with our three things.
Okay.
But when they're talking at the beginning, and she basically describes how she knows that he is the Flash and how she found out and everything,
Mhm.
and she says, "Can I touch it?" Oh wait, no, not that. Yeah,
I
she used
love
to have
this.
all those like quirky little comments that were
Yes.
funny at the time too.
Yeah, and she would, some of those were cringy, like honestly, and if
Yeah.
it was
Oh yeah.
delivered by anybody but her, I feel like it wouldn't work. And that's like
Yeah.
some of the dialogue, like you go back and watch some of this stuff, and it's not much strongly written sometimes, but like when it's one of those
Yeah.
things, when it's really good, it is really good. But like the actor still makes it work. Like some of these lines, if it was delivered by a lesser actor, you'd be like, oh Jesus, like you'd be like come on, let's just keep moving kind of thing. But yeah, like
For sure.
she was like, you're right, with those one liners, those double entendre things, she used to be like have like a million of those an episode.
And that was her thing, and that's what worked well, because I don't think she's a great actress by any means,
Yeah.
but when she was able to do those one liners and stuff like that, that's peak Felicity for me.
Yeah.
She was great.
I just it what used to kill, and we're not gonna just rag on Felicity the whole time. Please don't write us hate letters, guys. Like Felicity is good at this point. We like Felicity at this point, but
Yes.
my biggest thing is at one point she turned into I would just sum up her character as her constantly going, Oliver, Oliver, like all the time, like just said like that was how she would deliver that line every time. Oliver, but Oliver, like she would do that, and I'm like, Jesus, like a drinking game or sometime every time like
Yeah.
she said it like that. And then I think season three started out strong and then kind of went downhill. We will be covering when he crosses over, and he had like some like obviously the big crossover, but he had one
Yeah.
like the minor stuff. We'll just mention it in passing. Like we're not going to go into an in-depth thing about the one time when like he sped over and gave somebody a thing saying he's legit or something like that, or the other
Yeah.
time when he helped them when they were in the League of Assassins jail or something like that. Like
Yeah.
we'll briefly touch on that. We're not going to do a full episode review for that. We'll just do like
Yeah.
this scene was really cool and then keep it moving kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For sure. That I think that'll do a good service.
yeah, but definitely because we're only doing 2 episodes a month. So if we if we go over to Arrow and stuff like that, we're never gonna finish this show, guys.
Yeah, because then we'd be playing a drinking game of every time that Felicity says Oliver and walks out of the room.
Yeah,
I can't
seriously.
tell you how many times she storms out of the arrow cave
Yes.
this season that I've been watching.
Oh
She's
wait,
like,
what
I
season
quit.
are you on? 3?
Season 3 right now. Yeah,
It started out so strong, man. After he
it really did.
after he fell off that cliff, that's when that
Yep,
show fell off the cliff for like a little bit there.
yep. Until season 5, pretty much.
Yeah, season 5 got it back on the right track. Anyway, getting back to the episode, the whole thing with Felicity trying to set up Barry and Iris was kind of cool, but then like Iris misinterpreting it and thinking, I mean, there are some feelings, there are definitely some sparks there between Barry and Iris, but like she's not Barry and Iris, Barry and Felicity, but like she's mostly trying to set them up, and also she's just a knockout like anyway. So like when she comes dressed like that, it's like, oh, they don't drive all the way over to do blah blah blah. I'm like, there definitely is like a flirtation there, but I wouldn't like. I think at this point, she mostly just has time for Oliver, even though at this point, like I don't know if you remember, you probably do because you just watched season 2, but they have that
Mhm.
whole thing of like, look, I just said that like I was in love with you and stuff because of like Slade and stuff like this. Like this can
Yeah,
never work. And I do kind of miss that about like these shows. Not that I want my heroes like miserable, but like there
yeah,
is that kind of whole like really cool sacrifice element to it. And like the whole thing of like that's why we like Peter Parker, because like or like any people like this, because he can't be a superhero and have the girl at the same time. Like same thing with Barry
well,
and this.
in a couple episodes, you'll see Oliver kind of touches on it. Like we're not supposed to get the girl.
Yeah, we're not supposed to have a happy ending, basically.
Yeah,
Like it's yeah. And that's I do miss that. He was wrong, but like I do miss
yeah,
that about it. And then it's so weird now. And obviously they have that kiss at the end of this where like Barry shows up on the train after Felicity
yeah,
leaves, and then Harrison Wells had that kind of creepy line about like that's an extraordinary young woman there, stuff like that. It's like
yeah.
Jesus, Reverse Flash, like chill out, like
Oh, well, I thought what was kind of chilling is when she first walked into the room, he immediately knew who she was, and he obviously said it was because of, oh, you graduated MIT and you have a brilliant mind.
mhm,
But I like what he said, like that he expected great things from her, and it's
yeah,
because this whole time he's Eobard,
yeah,
spoiler,
he's from the
and
future,
yeah, and he knew what Felicity was gonna do going forward, pretty much.
definitely. And just briefly too, did you ever this is just going to be a general, I guess we're just going to get into other things besides the episode, but I was thinking about Reverse Flash. Do you feel robbed that we never got like an origin episode where I know they touch on it through dialogue, but where they go into an actual, at least like one scene flashback where it shows the future, where we see a future version of Barry, maybe even the original timeline version that Eobard knew, and see like how he became that Reverse Flash. Like I feel so robbed that we never got that.
Yeah, I do. I certainly wish that we would have got that. I don't know timeline wise if he would have known the older Barry, judging based on just the year that he's from.
Yeah.
I feel like Barry would have been dead by then, but I know that supposedly, classic comic book Eobard, working at the Flash Museum and the huge Flash fan, and
Yeah.
yeah, we never got to see him, as far as I know. Again, I haven't fully finished the series yet. I think I stopped at season 5 or 6. So some of this I'm actually gonna be watching for the first time with you, which
Yeah.
will be really cool actually.
Definitely.
But I don't know that we ever got to see Eobard recreate that experiment and how he got his powers and all that stuff too.
Full disclosure, guys, I've seen most of it. I know I'm hosting a rewatch thing, and I will finish the show obviously before we get there.
Yeah.
But I know that at some point they touch on it through dialogue, like his whole origin
Mhm.
thing, but I don't know if we actually ever see that. But I know that the reason I say that I wish that we had like an origin thing with the original timeline Barry is because he says like they're like he's his nemesis and everything. So like
Yeah.
I would want to see that because we even get obviously the famous newspaper article where we see I know when you were probably watching it, same with me, seeing that image of that photoshopped image of like Flash vanishes in Crisis and everything, and just like seeing that future version of Barry with the more like red, like accurate to the comics looking Cal, where
Yeah.
it was more close to like how he looked in the comics a little bit. And then there was something else in there. Actually, hold on, let me look up because I think they mentioned something about the red skies, which is something from the whenever there's a crisis of any kind, and we see that obviously in the show. But I know whenever there's like any kind of crisis going on, they have red skies. So it's like red skies vanish or something like
Yeah.
that. But
And while you're looking at that too, I'll keep touching on it. But I wish that we would have gotten more of an origin for him because he's the best villain that the show ever produced.
definitely.
And they did it for the second best villain, which was Zoom. We got to see a lot of, Hunter Zolomon and all that stuff going on, and they gave us a real origin for him, but never did for Eobard.
Definitely. I'm looking. Oh,
Yeah.
whoa. Hold on. This is I never even noticed this before, and this is just an Easter egg. Wayne Tech Queen Inc. merger complete.
Yes, I have seen that before. Yeah, that
I
was pretty
never
cool.
noticed that.
Yep.
Man, wow, I'm learning new things here, guys.
Which is even more interesting because if I'm correct, later on, Queen Incorporated got renamed to Palmer Tech in season 3 too. So
oh yeah, yeah, that was definitely because yeah, you're right because I remember that in the later seasons and that whole thing, and um, that's like its whole other thing. We'll definitely get into
yeah,
that other stuff, but yeah, red skies vanish. You actually do kind of see it, right? And this is just a stock image, but you do kind of see like that. That's not what it ended up looking
yeah.
like in the show, but like this flash thing, man, this Photoshop is rough when you actually look at it for more than like a few seconds. But like that one right there, like it was one of those things at the time. And we'll get into it in the finale. Like they definitely were teasing in the further seasons. Like what the future Flash might look like. We definitely got hints of how it would be. And the honestly for me, and we'll definitely do a suit rankings at some point. We are off the rails here,
Yeah.
guys. I'm sorry, but the final
We're, hey, wait, we're going rogue.
yeah, there you go. The final season suit, I think, is perfect in terms of how it looks. Have you've seen it,
Yeah,
right? How that final season suit
I've
looks?
seen the suit in some images, and it does look good. I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
definitely. The one before that was rough with the cow, but anyway, that's its own thing. We'll definitely cover that once we get there. But yeah,
Yeah, at the end of this, we can do a full like a suit tier list based on all the suits or something.
definitely. But yeah, this episode was really strong. It was cool. Do you remember if you I don't know if you're much of a shipper. Do you remember shipping like trying to remember get the name straight 'cause about said Oliver and Felicity. Felicity and Barry, were you like did you ship those two back in the day?
Was I a shipper?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I I don't know that I would ever consider myself a shipper, no, but I liked that pairing a lot, and I think it made sense. I think they were kind of testing the waters to see, like, should we move Felicity possibly over to this other
Yes.
show at some point and see, what kind of goes on there? Should we keep her here? Because I think on Arrow, they didn't know still what they wanted to do fully. Like, are we going Felicity? Are we going Laurel? Are we going Sarah? Are we, like, there's all these
Yeah.
different things too,
Definitely. And they speaking of, because I just remembered the whole thing with towards the tail end of the episode where because Barry kind of has this thing where he's kind of mad at Cisco, and then Cisco actually shows up at the end with this he convinces there's before that there's an awesome scene where Barry saves a bunch of people from that train. And that was actually, I know that we talked about this, it's way in the future, but in one of the Flash script treatments, I think it might have actually been the one that these guys made when they were going to make a movie. That was one of the scenes that was going to be included in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how every superhero movie ends up with some big train sequence.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm trying. Oh yeah,
Spider-Man, Batman Begins, Spider-Man 2,
Spider-Verse. Well, that's just a callback to that.
Yeah, they do a lot of that.
Smallville. That's a TV show, but still.
Didn't Superman and Lois have something like that at one point too? I could be wrong.
Maybe. I know that they have a Superman the movie reference in this. I think because Felicity says something about it might be at the end, but it's like, oh, it's the safest way to travel. And she's like, isn't that planes? I'm like, that's a reference to Superman the movie, because that's something that Superman says to Lois Lane about, oh, it's statistically still the safest way to travel. But I think that's actually, that might be about helicopter airplanes. They mention it again, Superman Returns, but yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. Anyway,
which is also cool because another Easter egg, Brandon Routh was popping up on Arrow at this point too.
Yeah, and he's definitely. I actually have a figure back there of the Atom from. I know you guys can't see that.
Oh, awesome! Yeah,
hold on, I'll actually get
it.
He
was one of my favorite. He was one of my favorite characters the Arrowverse ever introduced.
Yeah, hold on, cool. I'll get it so I can show it. Just wait one second.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I'll be right back.
Up and Atom.
Get the headphones right here. It's off the rails already, guys. But yeah, here he is.
Oh man,
I got this at
Up and Atom.
Yeah, I got this at one of those it's like one of those used book places, the Second and Charles. Like they had that in one of their they have like a little figure thing where they'll have it in like little plastic bags, and this was one of them. I think you could switch the head out and everything, but I was like, oh, I'll grab this, whatever. You don't really see these many like, Arrowverse type figures. I mean, you can order them online, but you rarely see them out in like the wild, I guess is what I would call it. But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that's awesome. Getting back into the episode, so like he saves him, then like the whole thing with Eddie where like basically Joe wants Eddie to stay behind, and then he shows up and actually helps him. He's like, I'm your partner, I'm not like your, I forget the line, but he basically says I'm your partner, and helps him out. And then we get the whole thing with Captain Cold where he freezes Barry to actually I think the tracks, right? And he's he's about to take him out. I actually made a mistake before. I thought that for whatever reason, I thought Captain Cold didn't kill, and I was actually surprised at first when he just nonchalantly did in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's like a thing later in the show. Maybe do you remember or?
Not that I remember, to be honest with you, but I do remember him being a stone cold killer for sure.
Yeah. I know that they make some sort of deal later, him and the Flash, but I forget what it entails.
That did just send a lightning bolt through my brain. Whatever so that I don't remember exactly.
That's why it's a rewatch podcast. We'll get to it later. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. But the whole plot between Joe and Eddie in this episode too, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because you still see that Joe is still dealing with losing his partner before too from the first episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
and how he doesn't want to lose another partner as well. Plus, this one is also happened to be dating his daughter, and he has
Yeah.
to be out on the job, not only worried about himself and coming home, but now making sure that Eddie comes home too because the virus.
Yeah, and he's worried that I think he even says it like you'd never forgive me basically if something happened to him, and so it's just added pressure on
Yep.
top of all that. But I liked their whole dynamic. I'm growing to like Eddie a lot more, and then obviously the whole thing with Team Flash grows even stronger in this episode because they have the whole fake out where basically Captain Cold has him dead to rights and everything, and he actually calls him Captain Cold, and you see Wentworth Miller kind of smile a little bit, like, oh, like I like that. I'm going to use that kind of thing, which I thought was like a nice touch or a nice acting choice.
Yes,
Yeah, I thought it was
definitely,
good,
definitely.
made him stand out more. But the whole fake out with the gun, and he's like, "This one's twice as strong as the one you're holding, and everything. And do you really want a chance?" It's like your hand shaking, be like, "I'll do it," kind of thing. And then he's like, "All right, kid, like I'll let you have this one," which is interesting. Do you think that there's like I know later on he has some like white in his hair. He might have this one. Do you think there's like a significant age gap between him and Barry Allen?
Uh, uh, yeah, I would say probably if I had to guess, it actually feels like about a decade, like a good 10-year difference to me.
Because he
So
calls him
it's
kid a lot, and I didn't really pick up on that the first time I watched. I guess the first run through, basically, but
yeah, because Barry at this time is, I think he said it in one of the earlier episodes, I think, or it might have been on Arrow, but
he's
he's
got to
like
be like
24,
20.
25.
Yeah, that's like early 20s. Like just if
Yeah.
how young do you think Grant Gustin was? Because he looks like he looks like baby faced in this one compared
Yeah,
to
he
how
does.
he looks later. I was like, oh
Whew,
my
he looks
god.
stressed later on. But
Yeah, yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Cold, Leonard Snart is definitely like
I could see
35
that.
to 40 in this, I
Yeah.
think.
I could
Probably
definitely see
so.
that. But yeah, he it's funny though, because he starts off as kind of just like part of a gang and like just almost like a common crook, and then like you see him kind of he goes through a character arc in this becoming like a force to be reckoned with not just the cold gun but just like how smart he is and everything, like the whole thing when he gets it, and he's just like, and this guy's an idiot for telling him this, but he's like, so you're the only one who knows, we're the only two that know about this, right? And then like he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, now it's only me. And then like I'm like, come on, man, like you don't tell people that, like that's like villain 101
Yeah.
stuff. You don't be like, oh yeah, I'm the only one that knows, and I'm by myself in this place right now. Like you
Yeah.
don't say that.
And the other cool part about Snart, I think, is that he's always been kind of like a similar to this version of Wells, like an anti-mentor, I guess, is that a word?
I could see
Uh,
that.
to Barry, where he definitely he enjoys the battles that him and the Flash have, right? Where he calls him
Yeah,
kid and stuff like that. And
the
I think he might
smile.
see, maybe he sees a little bit of his younger self before he turned to his life of crime in Barry or something like that.
Yeah, I know definitely we get more into his character and he grows and evolves a lot more um as a character. We'll definitely get into it later when a lot of these villains start leaving the show, and what
Yeah.
my personal opinion on that is, just a
Yep.
preview, I don't think they should have done that. I think it was a mistake. They took a lot of their charismatic villains that could have been overarching villains for a whole season and put them on another show, which I love Legends, don't get me wrong, but I do
Yeah.
think it was a mistake to take your strong villains and put them over there, and then
Yep. And your
spoiler
best
alert for that.
actors.
Yeah, and killed them off. Like that was a big mistake. I love what they did on that show, but I'm like, they killed off like one of their best villains because spoiler alert for the end of this version of Reverse Flash doesn't exist after this. Or
Yep.
somewhat doesn't. They do weird time stuff later. Anyway, um
Who knows?
yeah, who knows? It's state of flux, but yeah, like this was one of the first episodes with a very strong, memorable villain, Wentworth Miller. No offense to the other actors before this, but they were very much he's a professional actor. You can tell like he's got a lot of experience and everything, and he brought that to the table. He's got like a natural charisma to him. And the
Yep.
other ones, some of them were like day players and stuff like that. Some of them were
Yep.
like kind of like at the time, like some of them were up and coming, but like a lot of them were like just character actors, from
Yeah.
Canada. He had his own show before this, so he probably brought a lot more to it. And his next few
Yeah.
appearances, there's a lot more added to it. There's a lot more about him. So I think they realized what they had with Wentworth Miller if
Yeah.
they didn't already know.
Yeah. Well, you can see he's got damn near leading man potential in a lot of his stuff. So yeah.
Definitely. I haven't watched Prison Break, by the way. That's on my list. I need to.
Oh yeah, he's great on there, man. I think hopefully this rewatch will inspire you to go back and watch it. It's pretty good.
Prison
Oh,
Break rewatch
another actor.
podcast coming next.
Yes. There's another actor from Prison Break that pops up on these shows too. Clock King.
Oh, I love him, man. Like I can't wait to get to
Yes.
those episodes.
Yes.
They should have used him more. I know he
I thought
pops
he was
up.
great.
Yes, he was threatening. They took like a goofy villain and made him like that was the perfect use of like this kind of grounded, if you have working on a budget, using a villain like that was like really great. And
Hmm.
I wish he was in more. I know he pops up maybe a little bit later, but like I know definitely in Arrow he was amazing, and then like in the
Hmm.
Flash as well. Like he had a minor role in a future episode. But anyway,
Yeah.
getting to the whole thing, like they fake out Captain Cold like said like, all right, basically nice kid or something like that, and then he walks off, and then Siska tries to say, oh, leave the diamond. He's like, don't push your luck.
Don't push your luck.
That was great.
Yeah.
Great ending to an episode before the whole shipping thing that we talked about later with him and Felicity
Felicity.
kissing. And did you feel so bad for her when she was talking about like describing how she felt with like Oliver and everything about like some of it was so melodramatic and like so high
Mhm.
school, but those secret dreams that you don't tell him or something like that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
all right, guys, it's not that deep.
Well, this whole show, man, the Flash is when they really started to do a lot of shipping for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see it later on, I think, in either episode, it might be episode 12, I think, the one where they sort of go musical,
Mm-hmm.
with
Oh, yeah.
Caitlin and Barry and stuff like that too. And
Mm-hmm.
like they're constantly teasing all these things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
I
should
feel
have
like
had
it
them
does a
together.
disservice to the overarching story sometimes.
Well, yeah, I know definitely it's one of those things where with this one, I was just like, because you could have cut some of the sexual tension between him and Felicity with like a knife in this one. Like when it really
Yeah.
got to it, like they got along, and like sometimes it's like, oh, they're just friends or something, and they have a lot in common. But like I think they both kind of realized it was kind of like I describe Barry early on as like female Felicity, and so or
Yeah.
not male Felicity, my bad, in some
Oh, well,
ways.
yeah.
Yeah, because of just how he acts, his general thing. And I know he's got other personality traits, but when they're together, you're like, huh, they
He's
kind
a
of
nerd.
yeah, they
Yeah.
kind of write these characters kind of exactly alike almost. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And also, that's another thing. And I could be wrong as we rewatch this, but I remember in these first two seasons, you see a lot more of that nerdy, like CSI
Mhm.
Barry, which I think was a cool thing to see because that's who he is as a character. Whereas later on, he's just the Flash, you know.
Yeah. And then the whole thing of
Barry is really good in these first two seasons. Yeah.
yeah. And the whole thing with him just going in, even before he has the powers, him just going in and just noticing little things at like the crime scene. And some of it's because he's been there, but other ones it's like he notices or picks up little details and everything. And I think that's something I think they stopped doing the Sherlock effect that they were doing in the first few episodes with the whole where you saw like the little like the tire lining with like the little numbers and everything and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I'm like, they didn't really need that, but like I don't know, I appreciate it a little bit, but I'm like, you didn't need that, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of I definitely agree. They moved away from his CSI stuff later, and the whole thing, and the other fans have had this complaint too later on that like he kind of loses like, no, he's really smart too. Like that's the thing they
Mhm.
forget about him. It's like it's not just Cisco and Caitlin. It's like it's also him. Like he's
Yeah,
super smart, and that's something that they always. He might not be as smart as I think him, and I think Cisco's maybe a little bit smarter than him,
yeah,
probably. But like he still is smart. Like he's not an idiot. Like he
yeah,
knows what he's doing.
yeah. They definitely veer away from it, but once he's outside of Star Labs around other characters, like I think later on, I want to say it's episode 14 or 15 of this season where they start to touch more on Firestorm later on. But there's a scene where Barry is on the train when he first meets Professor Martin Stein,
Mhm.
and they have a little conversation, and you can tell that just the intelligence level is there. Sure.
Yeah, that's nice. I can't wait to get to that. But
Yeah.
definitely this episode was strong. Getting into towards the end, they're all back. They reconvene before we get to the final end part with him and Felicity. And
Yeah.
they kind of like are all joking around and laughing and everything, and Barry like forgives them, and they're all like oh like this actually this is just a souped up vacuum cleaner, and they all have like a good laugh about that. And then once Felicity leaves, I think even Harrison is joking with her, and he grabs like Cisco's arm. He's like, never do that again. And then like
That
it's
was a
one,
great.
yeah, that was one of those like chilling moments because you certain parts of this show you see Harrison Wells whenever he is like the public Harrison Wells around all the people, and then you see these moments where it's like, no, that's Eobard right there. That's like
Yep.
him, like very thinly veiled like threat, like do not do this again, kind of thing. And
Where
that
he's
was
like,
oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to get to that part, man. But that's definitely one of those moments I look forward to. But
yes.
yeah, anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get into the before we get into the rating, we're gonna get into the heart, humor, and spectacle. The heart definitely I guess the whole thing with him and Felicity would be the heart for me in this one. Like their whole dynamic, the whole like little romance thing at the end, like him loving being a superhero, the whole thing with him like cheering whenever he's up there taking a picture and then he goes down, and the whole like the funny reference of don't Instagram that, by the way. Like
Yeah.
their little dated references from back then, which are kind of charming now. And then
Yeah.
the humor would definitely be all the moments with him and Felicity. A lot of those jokes, like oh, like I think she said something about a hotel, like or you need to go to a hotel or something, get some sleep, not with me or something. And then just that whole double entendre stuff is great. And the spectacle, the big train sequence, obviously, like that was really great. Some of the dated CGI aside, it looked better than anything in that Flash movie. But yeah,
Yep.
that was good too.
I would agree. For me, I think the heart. I'm going to go a different route on this one. I'll
Okay.
say I think a lot of the heart comes from Joe in this episode and seeing how much he is struggling with the loss of his former partner, but also wanting to, I guess protect Eddie for Iris and all that stuff and the conflict that's there. I think that's really drives home some stuff that we'll see later on. Uh, yeah. As far as the humor, obviously Felicity saying, I want to touch it, or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's great.
That just took me out of it for a second. And then the spectacle, I think one of the coolest parts about this episode is when they're on that train and Captain Cold realizes who Barry is, and he says that he's fast, but he also knows who he is as a character, and that's why he
Mhm.
freezes the train to stop it so he can, kind of get away because he knows that Barry's going to go to save all those other people, and that whole sequence was great.
Yeah, he knows his Achilles heel is like most superheroes is they care about people.
Yep.
Like they're gonna always prioritize, or they should always prioritize saving people over catching a villain. Like
Yep.
that's one of the big things, and that's perfectly displayed in that part in that scene. And then was there I forget, usually they have like a little, it's not post credits, but it's after the title. Did they have any
Mhm.
kind of thing after? Do you remember if there was anything after that?
Not
Oh,
that I remember, to
right,
be honest
right.
with you.
It was the flame thing. It was the setup with Captain
Oh, the
Cold.
setup for Mick. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
The
that
setup
was
for Mick
cool.
Heatwave. It
Yeah,
was, and I liked it because I recognized the actor's voice right away from Prison Break. So I was like, dang, they got both of them. This is super cool. But yeah.
he wasn't doing the thing like I mentioned later, where he's like, "Ugh, I don't know
I'm
about
gonna
this.
drink now.
Uh, I
Yeah,
hate this. I hate this stupid time machine or something. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know, guys. I'm tired. But
yeah.
anyway, I would rate this just because I know it's going to get better later. I would probably rate this. What did we rate that one episode, The Mist? Did we rate that like 3 out of 5?
Yep. But I'm going 4 for episode 4.
4. Okay, 4. Yeah, that's
That's fair.
fair. Yeah, I feel like that's more than fair. I just know it's going to get so much better. So I'm kind
Me
of
too.
like, do I save it for
Yeah,
like
I want to
later
go
on?
4.5. I low key want to go 4.5,
But
but 4 is
4.
fair
Yeah.
because this is the first truly great villain that we
Hmm.
get throughout it, and there's a lot of cool things that happen with obviously having a guest star and Felicity and all that stuff popping in too. And the spectacle, man, like that
Yeah.
train sequence is one of the better sequences of the season. So yeah, I think 4 is fair.
Definitely. And then I like also just going back to like you mentioned that how she figures out that it's him. It's like she's listening in to whenever Oliver gave him that speech about I
That
think that
lightning bolt
lightning.
chose you.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, it worked in the episode and everything, but there definitely was some corniness in the whole like
Yeah,
I love it though, the whole cool thing at the
cool.
end. I
Yeah,
was like, all right, guys. Like I don't know
yeah.
if you needed that, but
It was
anyway.
definitely the start of how Barry kind of looked up to Oliver, which is a good thing because a lot of his other mentors that he has weren't exactly the best people. Ended up being villains, whereas Oliver was, the opposite, obviously.
Yeah, and then also it's like the whole thing, and I know it's different obviously in the comics, and the comics are much more peers than they are like, they kind of did the whole like you said, like Oliver not Oliver, Barry's much younger in this, so he like looks up to Arrow in a way and kind of like idolizes him and like looks to him for like even we're going to future episodes, like the whole like they train each other like
Yep.
he trains him again. We'll definitely get into this later on. I'll try and remember this
In
because
like
this is a good point.
4 or 5 episodes from now,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we'll get. Yeah.
he trains him to be better at being a superhero, and Barry trains Oliver to be a better man, basically.
Yeah.
So that's like how I
Trains
feel.
him to be a hero, actually. I think.
Definitely, the whole mask thing, that was a
Yeah.
whole thing from him. I remember I was so happy when they got rid of the grease paint, man. Like I
Me
didn't
too.
hate it, but
I see a lot of their relationship is they do the same thing that Batman and Superman do,
mhm,
where Superman's just super hopeful and positive, and Batman secretly wants to be that way.
yeah.
He definitely looks up to him in a way too. But Batman's also, I'm dark and gritty, da 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 da. But
Mhm.
yeah,
There's definitely speeches later about like the differences between I forget if they changed the name yet, but between Starling City and between Central City.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah.
very Gotham and Metropolis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, it this is definitely a great episode. I don't remember what the episode is after this, but we'll definitely be reviewing that in the future. Again, Will, congratulations on getting married soon. Speaking as somebody who's also married, it's one of the best decisions I ever made. So congratulations, man.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you guys for listening. You can definitely check this out here. The new intro is by a guy named Bader Nana. I include a link to not only to that song but to his I think it's to his channel, but definitely check that guy out. He is behind the badass theme that we have in this. He gave me permission to use it, and it's awesome, and I really appreciate him doing that. But yeah, so anyway, I'm Alex,
And I'm Will.
and we will see you guys in the Speed Force.